All right, folks, coming up on Roland Martin Unfiltered for Friday, April 26, 2019. Donald Trump, y'all, he takes the bait every time. He defends his fine people on both sides. Charlottesville comments only after he was smacked by Joe Biden in his announcement. Yes, that's why all of a sudden he was saying Robert E. Lee was a great general. We're going to break that thing down and show you how to get under his skin leading into 2020. Speaking of Joe Biden, Anita Hill is not satisfied with Joe Biden's apology after the 1991 Clarence Thomas confirmation hearings. Biden also then goes on The View and says he didn't mistreat her. Was he at the same hearings we watched? Also, folks, feds arrest a white supremacist in the Coast Guard. Says he's a terrorist, but then refused to formally charge him with terrorism. He gets out on bail. Seriously, white privilege for white supremacists. Also, more video on cops in New Haven, Connecticut shooting at an unarmed black couple. Not looking good for the cops, but that means they probably will get off. And a California senator wants to end court fees that prey on poor people and people of color. She joins us live on the show. And yes, another crazy-ass white person, literally this white woman, y'all, flashes her big white ass at a black family outside of their house on Easter Sunday and uses the N-words. Oh, my goodness. Wait till y'all see this video, this crazy white woman. It's time to bring the funk on Roland Martin Unfiltered. Let's go.
He's got it. Whatever the miss, he's on it. Whatever it is, he's got the scoop, the fact, the find. And when it breaks, he's right on time and it's rolling. Best believe he's knowing. Putting it down from sports to news to politics. With entertainment just for kicks, he's rolling. It's on go, y'all. It's Roland Martin, yeah. Rolling with Roland now. He's funk, he's fresh, he's real, the best, you know he's Roland Martin now. Martin!
All right, folks, all of a sudden, Donald Trump decides to open his mouth, and he is back to defending one of America's greatest traitors, Robert E. Lee. Now, let me explain to you what happened, okay? So you may be wondering, Donald Trump comes out, talks to the press. Why did he do this? Here's why he did it.
It was also home to a defining moment for this nation in the last few years. It was there on August of 2017 we saw Klansmen and white supremacists and neo-Nazis come out in the open. Their crazed faces, illuminated by torches, veins bulging and bearing the fangs of racism, chanting the same anti-Semitic bile heard across Europe in the 30s. And they were met by a courageous group of Americans, and a violent clash ensued. And a brave young woman lost her life. And that's when we heard the words of the President of the United States that stunned the world and shocked the conscience of this nation. He said there were, quote, some very fine people on both sides. Very fine people on both sides? With those words, the President of the United States assigned a moral equivalence between those spreading hate and those with the courage to stand against it. And in that moment, I knew the threat to this nation was unlike any I had ever seen in my lifetime. I wrote at the time that we're in the battle for the soul of this nation. Well, that's even more true today. We are in the battle for the soul of this nation.
Okay, that's why this happened today.
And if you look at what I said, you will see that that question was answered perfectly. And I was talking about people that went because they felt very strongly about the monument to Robert E. Lee, a great general. Whether you like it or not, he was one of the great generals. I've spoken to many generals here, right at the White House, and many people thought of the generals. They think that he was maybe their favorite general. People were there protesting the taking down of the monument of Robert E. Lee. Everybody knows that.
Okay, so that's why he said that. Did y'all also know that when Donald Trump said that today, he was speaking about 500 feet away from where Robert E. Lee literally turned down an opportunity to lead the Union Army. Robert E. Lee was asked by President Abraham Lincoln to lead the Union Army. He made the decision not to, and that is to go lead the Confederates who wanted to keep slavery alive. Did we have that photo? Okay, I'm gonna pull up in a second because I was tweeting this a little bit earlier today, just so you can understand what's going on here. And the reality is, Donald Trump took the bait. Now, sure, okay, folks all day have been talking about it on the news cycle, but Donald Trump could not resist bringing back up one of the lowest points of his presidency, because the real deal is he's still mad. He's actually still mad that he had to apologize after the initial comments he made about Charlottesville. And this should be a lesson to the rest of the folks who are running that it's very easy to provoke Donald Trump. It's very easy to get him to focus on what you want to focus on, because this guy cannot resist at all on this very issue. Now, of course, it led to a lot of people, of course, commenting on social media, and they'd be reminded about Robert E. Lee. Robert E. Lee, of course, owned 200 slaves, tortured them by pouring salt in their wounds after being whipped. He led a rebellion to extend slavery, which killed 620,000 people. And yes, he also lost. Here's what Adam Sir of The Atlantic wrote. Robert E. Lee was a traitor, a brute, and a slaver who wouldn't even trade black Union soldiers taking prisoner for the lives of his own men, because he saw black people as property to be owned. Let's talk about this on our panel. Dr. Jason Nichols, lecturer, Department of African American Studies, University of Maryland, College Park. Amisha Cross, political commentator for the Sinclair Broadcasting Group. Teresa Lunde, founder, TML Communications. And so I'll start with you first, Jason. So here's what's interesting. Again, when you talk about Donald Trump taking the bait, Joe Biden hits him on Thursday. He takes the bait. He comes out and makes the comment today. Any sane person would not have brought up one of the low points of your presidency. Heather Heyer, killed in Charlottesville. 5 people on both sides. He got ripped left and right. His own people did so. But he couldn't resist. I was right. I was right. Generals who work for me will tell you how great Robert E. Lee was. They're all there. He just lying, making up stuff while he was talking to the press.
Well, I'll tell you, first of all, which generals still work for him? That's who I want to know. I mean, General Kelly left, Mattis left. You know, they're all pretty much gone. McMaster. So I'm wondering which generals he's actually referring to, number one. Number two, I think what you said about Democrats looking and listening to what just happened, the fact that don't take Donald Trump's bait. And I've argued this several times. Obama took Donald Trump's bait with the birth certificate.
Right.
Big mistake. Elizabeth Warren took his bait.
Took the bait.
Big mistake. You can put him on the
Obama should have said, go to hell.
Exactly. And it doesn't even matter. Ted Cruz, his father wasn't, or his mother wasn't born in the United States or something or other. You know, there have been lots of people. His mother was a U.S. citizen. That's enough. But yet Obama felt the need to clarify, you know, someone else takes a DNA test. This is a big mistake. People need to realize you can put Donald Trump on the defensive. You can make him look angry and out of sorts.
And Amisha, what this does is, this is what's important. When he made that initial comment, he pissed off a lot of white moderates, white independents, white women, and that's the thing that people don't understand when he went there. And so by him bringing it back up, he's playing right into Joe Biden's hands, into the Democrats' hands, because he can't resist. First of all, he can't even acknowledge a screw up. His whole deal is, I never screwed up. And so the way to get him for the rest of the campaign is to hit him on screw ups where it's not even a debate, because he cannot acknowledge, yeah, I messed up. He can't.
I think it's just a really difficult thing for him. But in addition to that, he never was really sorry. I think this entire time, he has not tried to really run from it. It took him forever and a day to actually issue an apology, and that was after he got talked to by 12 different conservatives, in addition to the fact that someone died and the mother of Heather Heyer actually spoke, and there was still a lot of anger on his side and not really understanding what was going on. To talk about Robert E. Lee as an exceptional general, as someone who people looked up to, 2019, that's not really something that people say. I don't care whether you're a conservative or a Democrat. That's not something we look to and say this was a great era in history. This doesn't help his argument. It doesn't go back and eradicate the fact that he said that, there were some fine people on both sides. And I think that Biden was smart in the sense that he decided to make sure that he hit him where it hurt. He knew he wasn't going to be able to ignore it. He knew that within short order, the president was going to respond. I don't think anybody could have predicted he would respond in this type of extraordinarily raw manner. But I do think that there's something to be said about him being someone who can needle this president.
Teresa Jones on Skype. But Teresa, I'm showing a photo. This is from the Twitter feed of Josh Billinson. I saw this earlier. And this is a plaque that is not far from where Donald Trump was standing today. The plaque says, Attorney for Dred Scott, Postmaster General in the cabinet of Abraham Lincoln, occupied by George Bancroft, historian. General Robert E. Lee was here, offered command of the Union Army in the field at the instance of Abraham Lincoln. That probably should say insistence.
Yeah.
I'm not sure why. Maybe that's a different use of the word instance. But that's what so that plaque is literally not far from where Donald Trump was standing. And again, for Biden to hit him on this here, it brings up Trump's praise of white nationalists, white supremacists. In fact, Teresa, what's also even more interesting today is the Daily Beast had this story because some Fox News reporters were on this chain. Here we go to my iPad. The headline says, Fox News reporter rips colleagues over Charlottesville. You sound like, quote, white supremacist chat room. And so what happened was you had these Fox News reporters who were defending Trump's comments and said, well, no, this is really what he meant. This is really what he said. And then one of them was like, oh, I interviewed this person down there, and he was talking about his First Amendment rights. But one of the guys he was talking about also was an avowed white supremacist who was also criticizing Jews and others, and the guy had to walk it back. That's what you're doing. So you have conservatives who literally are defending white supremacists because they want to protect Trump.
And I think we need to take notice of every white conservative, everyone who's elected in office that is saying, Donald Trump, this is what you meant. I think we're kind of getting to the point where some of his statements and some of what he's backtracking or some of the commentators and the analysts are really in a conflicting area where they are now looking at their own positions to see if it can even stand up to what the dialogue that's going on with him. So I think Vice President Biden made a very conscious decision, knowing and his team, knowing that Donald Trump is the master marketer, as he stated many times, and used it against him. So for him, to talk about a specific situation, and of course he could have talked about many other things like the brutality of African Americans with the police force, but he did choose that particular one in Virginia, in Charlottesville, because I think it did resonate with everybody that still hasn't really got a completed answer. So I'm going to leave it up to the Democrats to see what they actually do post this, because right now they have the attention of the president and they also have the attention of the Democratic Party.
But see, what this does is, now here's a piece, Amisha. Donald Trump's base is a very small base. It is not, yes, 80, 90% of Republicans are backing him because, first of all, they hate Democrats. So their whole deal is, we'll support Donald Trump whatsoever. But the problem is not the percentage of Republicans who are endorsing him. The problem is the number of independents who voted for him. And that is, if you keep letting folks know that Donald Trump provided aid and comfort to white supremacists, and the fact that he refuses, because he's already acknowledged basically, okay, he was pissed off that he actually had to do it. That was in the book by Bob Woodward. And so now his whole deal is, again, it's not in his DNA to say, I messed up. I shouldn't have said it. And so if I'm a Democrat running, I'm going to find not those moments where we can debate. I'm going to find those clear-cut, undeniable moments where he lied and said, but you said this and this, because he simply cannot concede that he was wrong. That is how you get to Donald Trump and you further expose him, because that will gnaw at him and just gnaw at him.
No, I totally agree. And at this point, he has denied tweets that we still see. He has gone on record and tried to change the story on various incidents. And he is somebody who cannot admit to any mistake. He cannot admit to any wrongdoing. And I think that the Democrats are getting wiser moving forward in terms of how they deal with this. It has been Democrats tried to push back against Trump and it always failed. At this point, we're seeing that there is a break. There's a breaking point there, and that we really have to take advantage of it. I think that with the Charlottesville case, one of the smartest things to acknowledge, and you mentioned it earlier, was that people were furious on both sides of the aisle. As much as we care about police brutality as African Americans, there are a lot of people who don't look like us who don't have that same reaction. They did have the same reaction in this case.
Well, and again, here you have this guy, remember the Pizzagate guy, Jack Posobiec, whatever his name is. They were tweeting today, and some guy tweeted, "We will never get anywhere in the Confederate Generals Monuments debate until people realize that Southerners are educated differently about the Civil War. For starters, in the South, it is called the War of Northern Aggression. Screaming racist will get you nowhere." Okay, first of all, what the idiot doesn't realize is there's a reason why it's done that way, right? Because they are racist. And then, of course, Jack writes, "They don't want an honest debate. They want to erase our history." That's what he tweeted. So then, of course, I fired back at him. Okay, when you want to have it. I said the two of y'all can debate me and Greg Carr on this one. When y'all want to go. Jack has yet to respond. And again, to me, this is how you go at the heart to expose them. Teresa, I'm going to go to you first, then I'm going to come back. I'll give you a perfect example. Yesterday, when Franklin Graham made his comment about Mayor Pete, is it Buttigieg? How to pronounce his last name?
Buttigieg.
Buttigieg. Okay, got it. I'm like, okay. So here's the deal. Everybody was going after Franklin Graham, to me, on the wrong thing. Oh, he's wrong about religion. No. My deal is that's what he wants you to debate. I hit him in my commentary. Why are you a situational Christian? You said nothing about Donald Trump, his lying, his cheating, the porn stars, but you have a tweet criticizing Mayor Pete. See, this is where I think, Teresa, from a communication standpoint, where Democrats get it wrong. Democrats, they want to debate on their terms. I'm not going to waste my time debating Franklin Graham thinking that Mayor Pete is a sinful Christian. I'm going to say, oh, so Mr. Morality, why were you silent about the paying off the porn star? Why didn't you say anything when Donald Trump said he's never had to ask God for forgiveness for anything? And then the follow-up question is, so Reverend Graham, are you saying that a man who cheated on his first wife with his second wife, who cheated on his second wife with his third wife, who cheated on his third wife while she was pregnant with a porn star, has nothing to ask God for forgiveness for? That's how you box them in. Democrats had better learn the way you get at Trump is you needle him. You get under his skin. You force him to come to your side in debate. And guess what? He has nowhere to go because it's indefensible.
And I think a lot of it is you have to force him to tell the truth. And in order to get Donald Trump to tell the truth, you need to expose him. So what does that mean? Half of it is to educate him on history, is to educate him on statues and monuments, educate him on Black people. And then the second portion is you need to make sure that the people around him have a thorough understanding of his platform and his beliefs. So a lot of that he will be very vague in, and I think a lot of that is very strategic as it relates to communications. As it relates to Reverend Graham, I think it would have been more worthwhile for him to talk about Trump's exposed transgressions. And
No, but he's not, because he wants to defend Trump at every turn. But that's how you box him in.
Yeah, absolutely. And so boxing him in, doing that, also makes us, makes us look at Reverend Graham as one of those some tiny pastors. Right? So please don't get on Sunday morning and talk about, maybe I shouldn't be wearing pants and I should be wearing my skirt and my stockings. But then, get on with Donald Trump and disregard.
That's my point.
Stormy Daniels. So I get your point, but I think it needs to be some accountability, especially with clergy, because I haven't heard as much of them outside of Reverend Barber, who has been on the front lines talking about Donald Trump and his transgressions and how it is actually hurting the conservative community, but more so the Christian community, that Democrats and Republicans and independents, not holistically, but according to polling, most of them are Christians, but yet when Donald Trump are living up to those values, we can't see it.
But Jason, again, this is how you win. This is how you win arguments in terms of how you push, how you box someone in. So, for instance, Donald Trump and his Republican supporters, Laura Ingraham, all the rest of them. Oh my goodness, how can you sit here and you can call Donald Trump racist? He supported the First Step Act. Okay? This is how you respond to it. So when Jeff Sessions said he was going to go back to using federal private prisons, overturning Obama-era rule. If Donald Trump believes in criminal justice, why is it that he also went along with Jeff Sessions, and Bill Barr has now reaffirmed that they are also going to push their prosecutors to go for the highest penalty? If Donald Trump cares about these issues, why is he allowing Betsy DeVos to get rid of civil rights statutes in the Department of Education when it comes to suspensions, when it comes to things on those lines? See, the way you beat them is you don't. Democrats want to argue on the First Step Act. I'm going to say, yes, he signed it, but he all the other different.
Right.
Now I'm going to force you to explain all of those. That's what they can't do. I'm going to say, well, Donald Trump's such a great Christian. Why was he silent when 3 black churches in Louisiana were burned down? Oh, but he commented on the Sri Lanka suicide bombers in Christian churches. He commented on the Notre Dame Cathedral, but 3 black churches were burned in Louisiana by white supremacists. He said nothing. See, that's how you beat them.
Now, look, I agree with you, but again, one of the things that we have to realize, I know you said that Trump's base is small, but they're loud. And I think what's going to happen is he'll get flustered. You'll win the debate objectively. But what's going to happen is, as you know, the spin doctors and conservative media are going to spin everything. They're going to look at him angry and flustered, and they're going to say, that looks like me, because they're angry and flustered.
Oh, no, I got you. But see, you're never going to get their votes. You're
Right.
never going to get their votes. What you want is the person who is embarrassed to vote for him. The person, look.
But I'm not so sure that so many Republicans are embarrassed.
No. But you're not. See, again, though, right there, you're not appealing to Republicans. Democrats have got. Where did Hillary Clinton screw up? They were trying to go out there and appeal to these Republican white women. No, you're not going to get them. The number of people who identify as independent. Why? You know why Newt Gingrich lost as Speaker of the House? Not because they lost the House in that midterm. It was because white suburban women felt that he was too mean to minorities. George W. Bush runs in 2000, compassionate conservatism, sounded very good to suburban white women. They liked George. Newt Gingrich lost his job as Speaker of the House. Bush comes in. So the point is this here. But what you do is you expose him for his racial dialogue. He's never going to say, I'm sorry. He's never going to say, I messed up. And then you keep needling. I'm telling you, the fact that Joe Biden was able to force him to go back to Robert E. Lee, to say that Robert E. Lee was a great general. Whether you like him or not, he was a great general. You've got Donald Trump defending one of the greatest traitors to America, a slave owner, because he couldn't just leave it alone.
No, I agree with you there. It makes sense. What you're saying makes sense. I'm saying that there are a lot of demographics in America that don't make sense. So you're looking at...
But you don't worry about them. You're not going to get them.
But you talked about white women. They voted for Donald Trump. They know what he did in the 80s. They know about the...
No.
They know about...
No. But the difference I dare say is because how Hillary Clinton went at him. You have to go... What she did was she danced around a bully. Right. She avoided a bully. No. You go at a bully. You get in the bully's face. And when you know he can't even say, I messed up, oh, you got him. You got him. That, to me, Democrats should be paying attention because you have to figure out how do you beat somebody who doesn't care. The fact he does care, because his whole deal is he can't say I'm sorry. And that's how you get him. So you don't debate the margins, you debate what's undeniable. Even his supporters are like, dude, why are you bringing this up? What are you doing? Don't bring this stuff up. Speaking of bringing up the past, Anita Hill. Of course, Joe Biden announced he's running for president. And look, he's been highly criticized because of those confirmation hearings in 1991. He calls Anita Hill before, of course, his announcement dropped offering his apology. She told the New York Times, though, first of all, this is what he said. The focus of the apology, to me, is one thing, but there needs to be an apology to the other witnesses, and there needs to be an apology to the American public, because we now know how deeply disappointed Americans around the country were about what they saw. And not just women. There are women and men now who have just really lost confidence in our government to respond to the problem of gender violence. Joe Biden was on The View today, and he was asked for a stronger apology by Joy Behar.
You know, I think what she wants you to say is, I'm sorry for the way I treated you, not for the way you were treated. I think that would be closer.
Well, but I'm sorry the way she got treated. In terms of, I never heard say, if you go back and look what I said and didn't say, I don't think I treated her badly. I took on her opposition, what I couldn't figure out how to do, and we still haven't figured it out.
Yeah.
How do you stop people from asking inflammatory questions? How do you stop these character assassinations outside? There was a full-blown attack on her in order to try to get the defense, quote unquote, for Clarence Thomas. And no woman or any victim of harassment should ever be put through that circumstance in public hearing.
Yeah.
And so, look, if you notice, we're all still looking for, how do you change the process of having a hearing?
Teresa, you're a communications expert. What the hell would you have told him to say?
Well, I'm a little biased, and I'll tell you why. Because Biden had his first fundraiser here in Philadelphia.
So?
Okay, I just wanted to put that out there.
Did you go?
I was there.
Okay, so what you're a communications specialist. How would you have told him to answer a very easy ass question?
I would reiterate to the public that he did apologize, but also reaffirm to the public that, yes, the process was... No, you don't use the word process. Well, so let's be clear. So the way the Senate, the way hearings are conducted, there is a process. So I do agree with Vice President Biden as it relates to, then Senator, as it relates to that communication from each senator asking her or literally bullying Anita Hill with those questions. So I do believe there should have been some sort of processes in place. And yes, I'm going to still use that word, that could have died down some of that. But also, I do know Biden was, kind of at fault. But again, he did apologize.
No, Amisha.
This is a woman who was victimized, and I think that we have to return to that. As someone who has also been a victim of sexual abuse, I think that when you're talking to someone who is now years outside of that, but went through hell and high water during that process, you have to reach out to them, and you have to not only express sympathy, but you also have to express that you have moved beyond where you were before. And I'm a Biden supporter, but I was very shocked by the way that he addressed that question this morning, but also in the conversation with Anita Hill. She is still healing from a lot of that. And I think that today we look at that situation very differently. I was a toddler in 91, but watching all of those videos and seeing everything that she went through, there isn't a piece of me that does not hurt for her. And I think that for him to not be able to find it within himself to give a natural apology to a woman where, yes, he pounded very hard with a lot of those questions. There was no bit of empathy in that man whatsoever during those hearings. And I think that he does owe her that.
Jason.
Well, look, I'm not a Biden supporter, but either way, what we saw, and I was not a toddler, I was a little bit older than that at that time, and I remember, I believe it was Arlen Specter who asked, don't you think, isn't it true that black women are jealous of white women who date black men, and that's what this is all about. There were things that there was no question he should have banged the gavel on and said that this is completely terrible, completely not what we're here for, and he failed to do that. He needed to take responsibility. He was in a leadership position, and I know that right now, we have the type of leadership where people don't take responsibility. That's what the last segment was about. But he should have taken responsibility quickly right there and said, I apologize to Anita Hill for my actions. I apologize to the other victims who didn't get a chance to testify. There are many things that he should have done to show leadership and to show that he takes responsibility.
All right, so Teresa, I'm going to show you how Joe Biden should have done this. Press play.
I think what she wants you to say is, I'm sorry for the way I treated you, not for the way you were treated. I think that would be closer.
Well, but
This is what Joe Biden should have said. Joy, you're absolutely right. I should have been a tougher chairman. I should have been far more aggressive in shutting down some of the insane, offensive, and despicable questions that she was asked. There were witnesses who were in D.C., who were waiting to testify, who should have been allowed to say their story. Everybody, yes, Anita Hill and Clarence Thomas, deserve to have their perspective. But you're absolutely right. It was too chaotic. It was too much back and forth. It was a panel of all men, all white men, and I should have done a much better job as the chairman of the Senate Judiciary Committee during those hearings. So to Anita Hill and to anyone else, I absolutely unequivocally apologize for that hearing. Done. Next question. That's it.
You want to be my communications specialist?
That's it.
I'll hire you.
Teresa, if you go there, you're not this, and again, if we play the video, if you see it, sort of this eye roll, I'm searching, well, I didn't ask her, somebody else did. Look, it's one of those things, you take the hit and you move on.
right.
You take the hit.
So, Roland, I like your statement, but there's two things in play here. One, he did apologize. He made the call in private, and he also apologized before he even said he was going to announce the campaign because they already knew what was happening.
That means nothing.
Two,
That means nothing because now you're on The View in the
Right.
exclusive. And so, and then you say, I made a phone call to her. I apologized to her directly, personally, and I also apologize to the nation. You have to end it. What you don't do is give an answer that this is what that answer looked like. It looked like Keanu Reeves in The Matrix, where he's sort of, you're like, I don't quite know. No, take the hit and move on. It was the same thing that Hillary Clinton could not do. When she had her book tour, when she said, Bill and I, we left the White House, we were in poverty, we were broke. Oh, you weren't. And she could not, and she kept saying it, and she would say it a different way. Look, I can tell you exactly what happened. I called one of her closest aides who's black. I was like, yo, can one of y'all tell her to shut the hell up? And the person said, Roland, are you willing to sit down with Hillary Clinton until I said, hell yeah, I would tell her. The same thing with the emails. It was so, I was here, because here's the deal. If you don't answer it, clear, locked, he's going to get asked again and asked again. He's going to have a tight answer on the 1994 crime bill.
Yes, and
Final
to your
comment on
point,
this.
no.
Go ahead.
Okay, so yes and then no, because so the committee that was in place are the same committee members he is now reaching out to get monetary support. So again, if he starts putting fault on some of those Senate,
No, you missed me. I didn't say you fought the committee. You fought your leadership. You were the chairman. You just take it on. You say, as the chairman of the Senate Judiciary Committee, I should have been stronger in shutting it down. You take it on. All I'm saying is this here. You got to end it. Because otherwise, because what happened? What happened? He called to Teresa. He apologized. What did she say? Let me read it again. This is my point. She proves my point. He called her to apologize. Quote, the focus on apology to me is one thing. Pull it up, guys. But there needs to be an apology to the other witnesses, and there needs to be an apology to the American public, because we now know how deeply disappointed Americans around the country were about what they saw. And not just women. There are women and men now who have just really lost confidence in our government to respond to the problems of gender violence. The quote was in today's New York Times before he even went on The View.
She basically gave him the playbook of how to
Right.
do this.
I'm like, but I'm just saying that, look, sometimes you got to take the hit.
And I think, you know what, he may actually
Final
take
comment, next story.
I think he may take the hit just at a later date. The View was not the platform that he decided.
Well, guess what? You wasted the moment sitting with 5 women and not taking the hit. That's all I'm saying. All right, y'all. Look, I know you went to the fundraiser, but damn it, you're a communication specialist. Damn it, specialized right now in communicating. Hey, Joe, if you want to know how to answer some questions, call Uncle Roro, because I can help you out on how to answer a question. All right, y'all. Coast Guard Lieutenant Christopher Hassan was called a domestic terrorist by federal prosecutors, but it looks like he will get out on bail while awaiting trial. This thug, the prosecutors allege he was poised to mount a white supremacist-inspired terror attack against prominent Democrats, network TV journalists, and 2 Supreme Court justices. The government alleged Hassan had successfully test-fired illegal homemade silencers in order to murder quietly and on a mass scale. But in spite of all of that, the Trump Department of Justice has not charged him with terrorism. So Judge Charles Day ruled Hassan eligible for bail. The judge will require house arrest or some other third-party monitoring. He's still in jail while they figure that out. Do we even need to ask what the hell would have happened if somebody black or Muslim had a cache of weapons and was going to kill 2 Supreme Court justices, some Democrats, and some television journalists? Anybody?
We don't
Anybody?
My question goes to the bail eligibility, because there are 2 rules when it comes to whether or not somebody is actually released on bail in general. Whether or not they are going to be a flight risk and whether or not they are a threat to public safety. This man is a clear threat to public safety, not only with the arsenal, but also with the imminent intent. We have all of the letters. We have the quotes. We have all of the white supremacist ideology, but we also have literally people who he had targeted, high-ranking congressional members, Supreme Court justices.
To me, this ain't hard.
Right.
This is an easy one, Jason.
No, this one is very easy. It's a slam dunk. And, of course, the Department of Justice dropped the ball here. I also want to say that, knowing a lot of people in the military, and they talk about the racism in the military, it's real. Here's a guy who's a lieutenant.
Yes.
Probably had, many people who ranked under him, and many of them could have been African-American. There aren't quite as many in the Coast Guard, but certainly he was a Marine before, and there's certainly some black folks in the Marines, some Latinos in the Marines, and they had to deal with a guy like this.
My thing is, no other Justice Department would have done this. Looking at the fact that the people who were on this list were all considered liberal. If he had threatened conservatives, we would have seen an entirely different reaction.
Hello. Okay, I got to read this story here, y'all, because I still don't understand what she's... Catherine Pugh, of course, when she ran for mayor, she beat back Sheila Dixon, who was the first black female mayor of Baltimore, who had to resign because she used some gift cards that were meant for the city for some other projects. Okay, so check this out, y'all. So now Pugh has been out for a long time with pneumonia, and now her attorney is saying she's not lucid enough to make a decision to resign. What's the problem? Companies that did business with the state that she oversaw bought hundreds of thousands of her self-published book. Yesterday, the FBI raided 2 of her homes, as well as her office and her attorney's office, plus her city hall office. The governor of Maryland, the entire Baltimore City Council says she should resign. And late yesterday, this is what her lawyer said, Steve Silverman. She is generally aware that there is a consensus that she should resign. For people to make material decisions in their life, they have to be at a certain level of stability. I'm just saying, y'all. I'm just saying. Here's the other problem. All the books, they can't find none of the books. They can't find none of the books. Also in Maryland, you've got some drama there going as well because, and they have a Maryland's House Speaker race, and the previous Speaker recently passed away. Democrats have the majority, but what's happening there is the Black Caucus may be teaming up with Republicans to elect the first Black Speaker. Oh, but Maya Rockamore, who is the Democratic Party chair in Maryland, said, oh, hell no. She said it's, quote, unacceptable for Democrats to cast ballots for anyone other than the winner of the Democratic caucus vote. Now, Delegate Darrell Barnes, chairman of the Legislative Black Caucus, says she is bullying and threatening his members. She said, no, I'm sorry, you do not cut deals with Republicans, because if you cut a deal with Republicans on the Speaker of the House, they're going to want you to pay them back later on. So we got some black-on-black drama happening in Maryland. And so I'm just saying, and we tried to get Maya Rockamore on the show, but she had a speech tonight, but we look forward to having her on the show. All right, folks, going to a break right now. We come back. We're going to talk about police abuse in Connecticut. More crazy-ass cops. And y'all, wait till I show y'all this crazy-ass white woman who lost her mind and showed her ass. Literally. Next, Roland Martin Unfiltered. You want to check out Roland Martin Unfiltered? YouTube.com/Roland S. Martin. And subscribe to our YouTube channel. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real. It's Roland Martin Unfiltered. See that name right there? Roland Martin Unfiltered. Like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. That's YouTube.com/Roland S. Martin. And don't forget to turn on your notifications so when we go live, you'll know it. You want to support Roland Martin Unfiltered? Be sure to join our Bring the Funk fan club. Every dollar that you give to us supports our daily digital show. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real. As Roland Martin Unfiltered. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered daily digital show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Our goal is to get 20,000 of our fans contributing $50 each for the whole year. You can make this possible. RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. All right, folks, new video out in New Haven, Connecticut, where officers there fired shots at an unarmed black couple. Now, here's the old video. Check this out. So as you see right there, officer pumps those bullets into the car. So this is, go ahead, roll the audio.
Roger, shots fired. 20, what's your location?
Argyle Street.
Argyle Street, Dixwell, 093.
Now, folks, passenger Stephanie Washington was injured, not seriously. Driver Paul Witherspoon not hit, thank God. But check out this new body cam video. See here, you see the driver getting out of the car, showing his hands. The officer goes to the other side of the car and fires anyway through the passenger window, hitting Stephanie Washington. Okay, is that crazy? Is that crazy? Now, both officers, both black, are on leave. One from the Yale Police Department, one from nearby Hamden Police Department. Investigation ongoing by the Connecticut State Police. Now, is that crazy? Now, the 911 call led to the cop stopping him, but the 911 caller said the man was armed, and the man wasn't armed. This is, again, Jason, I'll go to you. I mean, again, police action, guys getting out. How in the hell do you ignore him? I mean, you guys, you see his hands. You ignore him to go to the other side and fire into the car. Who the hell are you afraid of?
Roland, I wish I had an answer for you. I wish I could tell you what that person was thinking at that moment. One of the things that we've seen through all of these videos is terrible police protocol. People don't follow anything.
Yep.
First of all, one of the things any police officer will tell you is if you fear someone has a weapon, you prone them out on the ground. That guy was getting out of the car. Give him an opportunity to get down on the ground, on his face, then you come over and see what's happening. And also, if you're really that scared to engage, wait for backup.
Right. I mean, I'm just saying. That's all you got to do. But again, that's what we sort of have here. Let's talk about some voter suppression. We also have here, we've been covering this story, folks, and that is what's happening in Tennessee. And that is the Tennessee Senate today approved a bill that will subject paid voter registration drives to fines and potential criminal penalties. The vote was 25-6. The bill already passed the House. Now it goes to Republican Governor Bill Lee to be signed. If you want to protest this, you can call his office at 615-741-2001, 615-741-2001. Teresa, I want to go to you on this. I remember in 2012 when Pennsylvania passed a voter ID bill, the leader of the Republicans there said Mitt Romney will be elected because we passed the voter ID bill. I keep telling people Republicans will do whatever they need to do to keep shaving the vote. We see it in Tennessee. We see what they're doing in Michigan, in Utah, Florida when it comes to Amendment 4. I keep telling folks it's not just one thing to say we registered, thousands of people last year. No, they want to keep folks from voting, Teresa.
Absolutely. I mean, so even in the local municipalities, Philadelphia County in specific, because we have 69 counties, 67 counties here in PA, but Philadelphia County is one of the biggest counties. And so we get a lot of special elections. So even with that voter ID law that passed throughout PA, the second step is really about enactment. And some of that, in some of the related small municipal districts that happen in special elections, we had polling places where their machines were turned off. So that's one way of voter suppression. Then the other one was at the last minute, probably 2 to 3 days prior, that you had voters being sent to another polling place. So we talk about voter suppression. We're also talking about changing the vote, and changing the vote means whatever the Democratic Party decided who should be elected, they did it in that way. So unfortunately, this is just one county of the many that's happening across our state. Let
me share real quick.
No, I think that we definitely need to look at this and be very attentive to a lot of these regulations that are happening across the country. When you see a state policy that looks like a poll tax, when you see more and more people getting cut off the rolls, it matters.
All right, then. And so, folks, again, I'm warning all y'all, don't take this stuff for granted. If you're living in a place where Republicans control the legislature and the governor's mansion, expect voter suppression, period. All right, folks, let's talk about California. All across this country, we've seen these stories where massive fees have been piled upon poor people all across this country, preventing them from really living a good life. You saw what happened in Ferguson, where 3 out of 4 households, they actually had, they were ticketed for various different things. And then we see other fees being piled upon people in Georgia, Mississippi, and Alabama. Folks stealing something that was worth $20, and all of a sudden the fees amount to $2,000 and $3,000 on them. And so what happens is these courts out here also smacking some major charges to recoup the cost of supervising probation or even paying for a public defender. Well, what's part of the problem? If you're poor, you're a person of color, you can't actually pay all of those fees. Well, California State Senator Holly Mitchell, a Democrat from LA, she wants to change that and has a bill that speaks to that. Holly, how you doing?
I'm well. Great to see you and hear you, Roland. Thank you for having me on.
All right. So, Senator Mitchell, so first of all, what is the status of your bill, and how serious is this in California? How are people, poor folks there, impacted by these massive fees?
Well, California is no different. People are experiencing these fees piled on. You had a great explanation of how it happens. We were successful last year in introducing a bill, SB 190, that eliminated these fees for juveniles. The UC Berkeley Law School Clinic has done amazing research to really look at how counties are applying the fees inconsistently across the state. So we think that we have primed the pump, if you will, to create an opportunity to eliminate the fees across the state here in California. Yeah, because poor people are suffering disproportionately. People of color are suffering disproportionately.
Obviously, counties are setting these fees. So would this put the state in charge of, are you setting fees or are you eliminating fees?
We're eliminating the fees. We're eliminating fines and fees. And so the question, I happened to meet with a group of judges in my district office yesterday. And so their question is, a question of backfill. And will we then backfill some of the special programs that they're using these fees to pay for? And that's what gets us in the trick bag. They justify the fees by using the resources to pay for other services. Our theory is government is paid for by the people. by all the people, not just some of the people who are impacted by the criminal justice system. And so we will be open to having conversations about how some of the services that the fees pay for continue.
All right, then. Well, and of course, you also sponsored that bill that dealt with the issue of hair in California. Glad to see that got passed.
Yeah, well, it's not passed all the way through the process yet. It's SB 188, the Crown Act. We have gotten it through the Senate. It got off the Senate floor with no votes on Monday. And so we're looking forward to having the conversation with the Assembly. And basically what the bill does, the first of its kind in the country, that basically creates a protected class for natural hair and natural hairstyles. I am a lock wearer, so people who wear their hair in twists, locks, or braids can't lose their job or not be hired or not receive promotion. It will be included in the protective class category, just like race, age, and gender. So we think it's time that we redefine what professionalism looks like in the workplace. We all saw that horrible video of the young wrestler in high school in December who was attacked by that woman and had his locks cut. And so we're changing the law so schools can have policies saying young people can't wear their natural hair to school, nor can your employer. So we're looking forward to continuing the dialogue nationally about creating a space for Black natural hair in the workplace.
All right. Senator Holly Mitchell, we appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much.
All right, folks. And we might as well get right to it. Crazy ass white people.
No charcoal grills are allowed.
I'm white. I got you, bro.
Illegally selling water without a permit
on my property.
Whoa! Hey!
Give us your right.
You don't live here. I'm uncomfortable.
All right, y'all. It was Easter Sunday for the Matthews family in Springfield, Oregon. This Black family, they were outside their home. And their neighbor, Jessica Hollinger, she was not happy to see these Black folks outside.
Property. You're on our property. You're on our property.
Get the hell on. You're about to get ran over. Come on, kids. Go.
I'm not on fucking property.
Then go
what are
bye-bye.
you doing?
Get the fuck out of here.
Nigger.
Said it. There you go. She was talking nigger. That's what they're saying.
Can you get the fuck out of
No,
here?
he was cussing her out too, and then
because you're walking by with racial
Because
slurs.
niggas recording me. For what? You can watch.
you were on his property pushing him.
Don't do it.
Go in the fuck somewhere.
Don't do it,
There's
Rashonda.
kids.
Don't do it. Don't do it.
What a piece of shit of a person you are.
She's over here in Greg and shit.
I'm 6'4". Yeah,
Oakdale Avenue.
Because you
Oakdale Avenue.
No, I didn't.
You pushed him. You just pushed him.
It's on camera.
Call up. You dirty bitch. I'm okay. How many times did you just
She's
say
on
nigga?
meth, bro.
How
You
many
need to light it.
times? Nigga? Not one. Oh, nigga. That makes it better.
You just pushed him.
Look at your vaccinated ass. Your ass is hanging out. You fat bitch.
Oh my God.
Hey, you're gonna go to jail for that. Yeah.
You're
You're
going to
gonna-
jail.
I almost turned it off too. I swear to God. I almost turned it off.
Yeah, he left you. He left you. Pleasant. Boy 64 Pleasant.
They're walking by saying
You're
nigger.
yelling
You told them to watch their
nigger.
mouth.
You all up in my face. Nigger. She won't get her. Throw this block at her, bitch. Go somewhere. Go the fuck somewhere. I'm on the street. You don't need to.
Her pasty ass was charged with harassment, disorderly conduct, and trespassing. Amicia, you have seemed to be quite amused by...
I can't believe what we just watched, but also the fact that she was so brazen. You're clearly on somebody else's property. You're using the N-word as loud as you possibly can, and she full-mooned people. Where is that ever appropriate? Nobody can get that upset. Nobody can... And she called the police. I'm confused.
Teresa, that's what gets me, is like, you show your ass, literally, and you call the cops.
The opioid crisis has taken a real turn. I said it with a serious face. But it's so interesting. Yeah, again, the brazen things that we see come from Caucasian Americans, it really is daunting, and it's actually, obviously disrespectful. but more so where we are in this country. It doesn't matter what property that we have. It doesn't matter, what type of wealth that we have. We are still getting downgraded in some sense of the matter, so white people can still feel in power. They're scared of us. They're, intimidated. It's a whole list of a host of issues that they have within self that I really do think, especially with that example, have some mental conversations that need to happen in therapy.
It must be really nice to break the law and still think the law is on your side. And I think, nobody darker than a paper bag would ever think that.
What gets me is, like, you really showed your ass. I mean, you pull your damn pants down. I mean, crack was already showing.
Yeah, I mean, it was out there.
and you pull your pants down. First of all, you're nasty. You're nasty ass. That's what you are. You're just nasty.
Didn't have any drawers on. Like,
a lot.
No, they were there. They were stuck to the pants.
oh, yeah, that just.
Damn, why you? I mean, I ain't need to have that visual,
Yeah.
Teresa.
Oh.
I mean, you didn't need to be that. I'm just saying. But I keep telling y'all. There's a reason we got this segment called Crazy Ass White People, because these white people are emboldened. Now you can't tell. Look, I don't recall these many crazy ass white people during the 8 years of Obama.
They were out there.
No. It wasn't a daily segment on my show. No, I'm serious. I'm telling you right now. These white folks have been emboldened by the last 2-3 years.
I can see that.
I could agree.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. They've been emboldened.
Yeah, I don't think that's arguable. When you have a president who can't, for whatever reason, shut down white supremacy, who doesn't want to call out racism at all, even in very clear and evident forms of it, you have folks who get excited by that. And this is what we see as a result.
Yep, we do that. Real quick, y'all. I got to go to this story here. Henry, go to my iPad. Love this headline. Donna Hill, USC official fired over the white folks college bribery scandal, now drives for Lyft. She is selling her $2 million mansion. She's now a Lyft driver. She was a top official in the associate athletic director, making a hell of a lot of money at USC. Now her ass right here is driving Lyft.
My, how the mighty can fall.
I'm just saying, that's what I'm saying. So any of y'all in California, if you in LA and you use Lyft and you see her, feel free to ask her some college admissions questions because she's an expert on how to get your rich white ass kids into a school, and they are not supposed to be there on athletic scholarship. That's all I'm saying. All right, y'all. First of all, we had a great week. We were in Sacramento earlier this week. Thanks to Margaret Fortune for having us there for our School Choice is the Black Choice Town Hall. That was on Tuesday. And, of course, yesterday we were in Virginia Beach, Virginia with XQ America for their Super Schools Initiative. And so we thank them for being there as well. And then, of course, on Monday, we're going to be in Greensboro, North Carolina on Monday. And so what happens on Monday, American Heart Association, they have, of course, an initiative with HBCUs that we're going to be participating in. I'm going to be moderating that particular panel, so we're looking forward to that. And so it's going to be a great time for all of us, and looking forward to that. And so so here's the deal: the show's going to be in Greensboro on Monday, and then we're also then going to live stream that particular event as well. And so we want you, of course, to check us out. And so over the weekend, we're going to be live streaming, restreaming, of course, the School Choice Town Hall on Tuesday, and of course what we did with XQ on yesterday. Gotta do this here. I was out of the office. We had some major technical issues, and so I was unable to do this yesterday. I'm going to pull this photo up real quick here. And so yesterday was the 72nd birthday of my dad, Reginald L. Martin Sr. And so this was a photo we took. We were cruising. They were with me in December, and so we were, of course, chilling all around town. So that's him on the left. And so all the people, they were like, "Your dad look younger than you." I'm like, "Y'all don't even try it. Don't even try it." But so again, my dad turned 72 on yesterday, so had to give him a shout out. as well. They're working the polls there in the Dallas area, him and my mom, and so they believe in local elections, so that's what they're doing. And so just wanted to do that shout out on television. Love you very much. And here's the, I don't call my dad Pops. I don't get that. I don't call Daddy. I ain't never called my dad Pops. So some black people like, man, that's your Pops. No. That's my daddy. I don't use Pops. That don't work. That don't work. All right, y'all. If you want to support Roland Martin Unfiltered, please join our Bring the Funk fan club. You can go to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. You can support us via Cash App, PayPal, or even Square. If you use the Cash App, be sure to put your email so we can add your name to the list. Because right now, what we're about to do is roll the video. These are all the people who have joined our fan club. Their dollars make this show possible, and we appreciate every single cent. It goes a long way to do what we do. To speak to our issues and our stories. And so let me thank Teresa for being on the show. Let me thank Jason. Let me thank Amisha as well. Your first time here, so you got hazed a little bit. We showed that all that mayonnaise pants pulled down just for you. And so that's how you got hazed in this show. All right, y'all. So go ahead. First of all, it is her first time with me here. They're telling me to control, not her first time. Is this the first time you been in here with me here?
Exactly.
Damn it, it's her first time. Okay? Anybody else here, that shit don't count. All right, y'all. So Roland is right. The show's called Unfiltered. So, gotta go. Y'all have a great weekend. Roll the damn tape of our Bring the Funk fan club members. Holla! You want to check out Roland Martin Unfiltered? YouTube.com/Roland S. Martin. And subscribe to our YouTube channel. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real. It's Roland Martin Unfiltered. See that name right there? Roland Martin Unfiltered. Like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. That's youtube.com/Roland S. Martin. And don't forget to turn on your notifications so when we go live, you'll know it. Hey fam, want to check out Roland Martin Unfiltered? The blackest show on all of digital, cable, and broadcast. Check out our audio podcast. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real. It's Roland Martin Unfiltered. Press play. You want to support Roland Martin Unfiltered? Be sure to join our Bring the Funk fan club. Every dollar that you give to us supports our daily digital show. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real. It's Roland Martin Unfiltered. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered daily digital show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Our goal is to get 20,000 of our fans contributing $50 each for the whole year. You can make this possible. RolandMartinUnfiltered.com.